Hello and welcome to this Friday edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toiwanja Bella, your host for tonight. Let's have a look at the front page of today's Namibian Sun. In this segment tonight, I'm joined by Dr. André Schulz. He is the General Manager for Lufthansa airline for Southern and he's responsible for the Southern and Eastern African regions. André, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. We are talking to you. You're in South Africa, and we are talking to you because your airline will be the first European airline actually to return back to Namibia, to fly back to Namibia this weekend. How excited are you about returning back to this country, and how important is this segment for Lufthansa in general?
Yeah, obviously we are very excited to have our first commercial flight back to Windhoek after a long time of lockdown, where we only were allowed to operate repatriation flights into Windhoek. So we are actually glad, proud and excited to see Eurowings being the first international airline connecting Europe to Namibia. Namibia is a very important market for the entire Lufthansa group, knowing the close partnership and collaboration between our countries, Namibia and Germany. And in this regard, we hope that we will also be able to support the restart of the Namibian tourism sector by bringing in German, European tourists and tourists from all over the world coming to Namibia.
Indeed. And Andre, just for interest's sake, is this just because you had to fly to Namibia, or do you actually have passengers coming? I'm just interested in knowing whether you are actually bringing in people.
Yes, of course. I mean, it's inbound and outbound. And also the booking situation looks very positive, actually above expectations. So the first touchdown on Sunday morning in Windhoek Airport, we expect more than 200 passengers arriving in Namibia, mainly tourists. And in that regard, I think it's also great news for the Namibian tourism sector. The whole travel industry was in very difficult times, and we are really happy now to support the restart of the operations.
Wonderful. And you spoke, of course, right there about the importance of supporting the local tourism industry by bringing in people. What else can you say about the benefits that accrue from just your operations in Namibia? What does it? What other benefits does it bring to Namibia, if any?
Well, I think it's first of all, we are, as an airline, we are somehow the bridge connecting our countries, our cultures, our people. I think that is an essential part of connecting people, which is even more important these days after the crisis and after the pandemic. I think with the special ties between Namibia and Germany, it is a great opportunity for us to serve these direct flights 3 times a week. It not gives European tourists the chance to see the beauty of Namibia, but also allowing Namibians to go to Germany, to Europe, visit their friends and relatives, which they haven't seen for a long time, and also to encourage business travel. We expect leisure, touristic travel to resume first, business travel just a little later. But in that regard, I think it's a win-win for the inbound potential of your tourism, but also giving the Namibians the chance to visit their families and friends all over the world, basically.
Indeed. And Andre, when was this route to Windhoek launched, and how has the experience been so far?
Well, we launched it in 2017 with Eurowings. First, we connected Cologne to Windhoek. We also had a flight from Munich to Windhoek. But we believe now with a flight from Frankfurt, which is by far our strongest hub, That's the ideal connection between Windhoek and Frankfurt. It gives us the best connectivity for our passengers. So when you fly from Windhoek to Frankfurt and you arrive there early in the morning, you have a very good connectivity all over Germany, all over Europe, even to the United States, if you like. So in that sense, I think the pairing of Windhoek and Frankfurt is very, very fruitful for the routing, and also in perspective for the future to maybe even further grow the ties between our countries.
Indeed. So you are returning to Namibia at a time when there's a big discussion, a big debate in Namibia about the status of Air Namibia, our own national airline here. And of course, I will not ask you to comment directly on your competitor, but one of the things that you can comment on is that, of course, the possibilities that are being discussed is whether to liquidate Air Namibia, and people are wondering whether operators like Lufthansa itself will be able to fill the void that will be left behind by the closure of Air Namibia if it happens.
Well, definitely from our perspective, I can only speak on behalf of the Lufthansa Group. Strong commitment to the Namibian market, to develop this market and to give people the chance to travel between our countries. We will all have to see after the pandemic how the travel behavior has changed, how the demand for international travel has changed. What is the difference now between leisure travel, business travel? I think it's the main challenge for us now to restore the confidence of travelers to board an aircraft again. And I think here you cannot focus on the fact that you maybe have the best wine in business class or the best entertainment program in economy class. Today it's about trust and confidence. Which airline do you trust to fly from Windhoek to Frankfurt? And in that regard, I think we are well prepared. We will watch closely the demand that we will see in the upcoming weeks, and we are flexible enough to adjust our capacity if we see that the demand is there and the confidence is there to further increase our frequencies from Germany into Windhoek.
And you touched on all those factors that it's essentially you are touching on the so-called new normal now because of the pandemic. I'm just curious to know how the pandemic has affected your operations in general so far.
Well, obviously the travel industry was hit like hardly any other industry worldwide. At some point, the Lufthansa Group with 750 aircrafts, we were only operating 2 or 3% of our global fleet in the center of this crisis. So in that regard, it is a big hit in terms of passenger numbers, revenue numbers. We only expect the travel volume from 2019 on a global scale, we only expect this to return by the year of 2024. And that gives you an idea for the next 4 years. It will be quite a challenging times in the travel industry, for airlines in particular, to see the travel returning. And then also as a challenge for us in management to see where do you optimize the capacity, where do you see the demand, be in new markets, getting first mover advantages. That's going to be the challenge for the upcoming weeks and months ahead. But again, talking about 2024, that's not around the corner, unfortunately.
Yeah. You spoke also about your fleet, a huge fleet, if one may point that out. And obviously, some of your biggest aircrafts do not land in Namibia just due to their own size, being as huge as they are. The Namibian authorities at the moment, in fact, not just as a matter of fact, we are busy expanding our Windhoek airport, the Hosea Kutako International Airport. Is that how important is this development from the perspective of your company? Going to a destination where the airport is bigger, maybe your bigger airplanes can also come here.
Well, definitely the infrastructure of airports is very important for airlines. At the end of the day, it works hand in hand, airlines and airports serving the same customers, and it's one experience for the customer. He arrives at the airport for check-in, goes through security, the boarding process at the gates, and then the experience on board. So also in Germany, we have very close ties with Frankfurt Airport, Munich Airport. We even have a share in that. So development of infrastructure is critical. Also, when you look into security standards, to ensure global security standards, any investment into infrastructure is highly appreciated, and that can only encourage further growth for Windhoek International Airport, also from a Lufthansa Group perspective, 100%.
And in terms of frequency, the number of times per week or whatever period you are coming to Namibia, has it been affected by the pandemic now when you are restarting, or will you go back to exactly how frequent you were flying into Windhoek?
Now we have gradual restart programs for all markets. We have new flights into Kenya, into Namibia, into South Africa, but it's always a gradual ramp up of operations. So here in Windhoek, we'll start now with 3 weekly frequencies. And again, as I said, we are flexible to see if there is demand to further increase the frequencies month by month, and to have the best product for our customers in Namibia and also for the tourists. I mean, we will see how quickly also the communication reaches the German market, the European markets, that Namibia is ready to travel. Namibia is open. The beauty of the country, there's no doubt. The Germans love to come to Namibia. So we'll see as quickly as the demand picks up and tourists welcoming to come back to Namibia, we will also be flexible enough to adjust our capacity in that regard.
Just for clarity, what was your frequency before COVID struck?
Into Namibia, we had several frequencies. It was 3 times a week as well. So now we are also starting with 3 times, but there is perspective and potential for further growth. That's for sure.
Indeed. Finally, Andre, just the what picture can you paint for us as far as your first flight post-COVID is concerned on Friday? What are we likely to see just in closing?
Well, for the first time, we will see that an international airline from Europe will come back to Windhoek Airport. We are all excited to see the touchdown on Sunday morning. I think we will see many happy passengers coming back to Namibia. People will be relieved. It's also quite an emotional topic to see the first flight, commercial flight, after such a long time. And I think we are all happy to see that there's now a regular connection between our countries, Namibia and Germany. And in that sense, we are all excited for Sunday morning and looking forward to welcoming the passengers and on board the Lufthansa Group aircrafts.
Thank you very much, Andre, for your time. We indeed can't wait for Sunday to arrive so that we see visitors arriving in our country. Hopefully everything goes well, and all the best for restarting your frequencies, your operations. We look forward to really having more of visitors brought here by your planes. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you. There was Dr. André Schulz. He is the general manager for the Lufthansa Group, responsible for the southern and eastern African regions, of course, speaking to us about the first commercial flight scheduled to arrive at Hosea Kutako on Sunday from Lufthansa. And Andre there was giving us just an insight into those developments. I hope you have gotten something out of it like I did. Enjoy your weekend.